My name is Daniel Harper. I'm 68 years old, and I built my life one early morning at a time. For 42 years, I owned 3 successful coastal restaurants in Savannah, Georgia. They weren't fancy Michelin star places, but they were full every weekend. People celebrated birthdays there, engagements, anniversaries. My food fed memories. I always believed one day, my daughter, Claire, would take over. I was wrong. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I sent her a simple message. Honey, I've been thinking about the future. My health isn't bad, but I'm not getting younger. Maybe we should talk about what support might look like down the road. She replied 2 hours later. Dad, please be realistic. Ethan and I have our own lives. We can't take responsibility for you when you're old. You should plan to hire someone. No, love you. No hesitation. Just that. I read it again and again. Something inside me went quiet. Not anger. Clarity. That same afternoon, I opened a folder I'd been updating for years. Every check, every transfer, every temporary loan. Total, $912,000. Down payments, vacations, business bailouts, luxury furniture. All just until things stabilize. They never stabilized. At 4:15 p.m., I called my estate attorney and scheduled a meeting. The following week, I sat across from my lawyer, Martin Cole. He reviewed Claire's message in silence. Then he looked at me and asked gently, Are you certain you want to make permanent changes? My current will left Claire nearly everything, valued at just over $4.8 million. My home, my business shares, investment properties. I'm certain, I said. We restructured everything. A charitable culinary scholarship foundation would inherit 95% of my estate. Claire would receive $25,000. Enough that she couldn't claim she was forgotten, but not enough to reward disrespect. Then I did something else. I scheduled a full medical and cognitive evaluation. If she ever tried to challenge my competence, I wanted documentation. Airtight. The doctors said my mental clarity was exceptional. Good. I was thinking more clearly than I had in years. Thanksgiving morning, Claire didn't invite me. Instead, she texted, We're spending it with Ethan's parents. Have a nice day. I spent it at my restaurant instead, hosting our annual free community dinner. Families thanked me. Strangers shook my hand. One elderly man said, Your food feels like home. I realized something. Family isn't just blood. It's who shows up. 3 weeks later, just before Christmas, Claire suddenly appeared at the restaurant. Smiling. Warm. Hugging me like nothing had happened. Dad, we miss you. You have to come for Christmas. She was wearing a brand new designer watch. The kind that costs more than my first used car. I asked casually, Business doing well? Oh yes, she said quickly. Ethan has big projects coming. Interesting. Because a private financial review I'd quietly commissioned showed something different. Debt. Credit extensions. Risky investments. They weren't thriving. They were burning cash. Mine. But I simply smiled. I'd love to come for Christmas, I told her Christmas Eve. Their house was decorated beautifully. Expensive decorations. Imported wine. They acted attentive. Almost too attentive. Halfway through dinner, Ethan leaned forward. So, Daniel, he said carefully, have you thought more about long-term planning? Assisted living? Structuring your assets efficiently? There it was. Not concern. Calculation. Claire squeezed my hand. We just want to make sure everything is organized properly. I set my fork down. I agree, I said calmly. That's why I updated my will. Silence. Ethan blinked. Oh, updated how? I've established a foundation. It will fund culinary scholarships long after I'm gone. Claire's smile froze. And me? She asked. You'll receive a modest inheritance. How modest? Ethan asked. $25,000. The room changed temperature. Claire stared at me like I'd betrayed her. You're punishing us. No, I said evenly. I'm responding to you. She stood up. You're choosing strangers over your own daughter? I'm choosing gratitude over entitlement. Ethan's face hardened. This won't hold up legally. I slid an envelope across the table. Inside were medical evaluations confirming full cognitive capacity. I made sure it will. Claire cried. Ethan argued. But I didn't raise my voice. For years, I had confused financial support with love. That night, I corrected the mistake. I left before dessert. 2 weeks later, the foundation was officially registered. 6 months later, our first scholarship recipient, a 19-year-old dishwasher with extraordinary talent, began culinary school debt-free. He called me sir with respect. He showed up early. He said thank you. Claire hasn't spoken to me since. And strangely, I sleep better. Because peace doesn't come from giving everything away. It comes from giving it where it's valued. The silence after Christmas lasted 12 days. 12 quiet, peaceful days. Then the storm came. It started with a voicemail from Ethan. His tone had changed completely. Gone was the polished confidence. In its place was urgency. Daniel, we need to talk. Claire is devastated. You can't just rewrite everything because of one misunderstanding. Call me back. Misunderstanding. Interesting word. I didn't return the call. Instead, I focused on work. The foundation paperwork was finalized. The scholarship committee had already begun reviewing applications. Something about building opportunity for young dreamers filled a space in me I hadn't realized was empty. On the 13th day, Claire showed up. Not at my house, my office. She didn't knock. She walked in, eyes red, hands shaking, not with sadness, but with anger. You humiliated us, she said. I gestured for her to sit. She didn't. I responded to honesty. I replied calmly. You're acting like we abandoned you. You told me to plan on hiring strangers. Because you have your own life. Her jaw tightened. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Silence. For the first time, she had no rehearsed explanation. She paced the room. You're being emotional. That almost made me smile. No, I said quietly. I'm being rational. For years, I've funded your lifestyle. Nearly $1 million in assistance. I never asked for repayment. I only asked for connection. Her eyes flickered. That's not fair. Parents help their kids. Yes, I nodded. They do. And children care about their parents. She crossed her arms. So what now? You're just cutting me off. No, I'm redirecting what I built. She laughed bitterly. To strangers. To people who show gratitude. That word hit her harder than the money ever could. Gratitude. Because deep down, she knew. The truth surfaces. 3 days later, I received confirmation that Ethan had reached out to an attorney. Not to reconcile. To contest. They were preparing to argue undue influence. Mental instability. Emotional retaliation. I had expected it. Which is why I had documentation. Medical evaluations. Video recordings of me reviewing the will in detail. Signed witness affidavits. I had built restaurants from scratch. I understood preparation. When their lawyer formally requested mediation, I agreed. The meeting took place in a neutral conference room downtown. Claire wouldn't look at me. Ethan did all the talking. Daniel, this is extreme. Claire is your only child. Disinheriting her will cause permanent damage. It already has, I replied. You're letting pride destroy your family. No, I said evenly. Entitlement did that. He slid a proposal across the table. A compromise. Restore her to 50% of the estate, and they would drop legal action. I didn't even glance at it. My final decision stands. Claire finally spoke. So that's it. Money over your daughter. I looked at her carefully. No. Self-respect over manipulation. Her eyes filled, but not with remorse. With frustration. The mediation ended without agreement. Their attorney quietly informed them the case was weak. Contesting would likely fail and cost them heavily in legal fees. For the first time, they were facing consequences without a bailout. The real consequence. 6 months passed. The foundation awarded its first 3 scholarships. One recipient, a young woman named Marisol, had been working 2 jobs to pay community college tuition. Her dream was to open a bakery in her hometown. When she received the scholarship letter, she cried in my office. Not because she expected it, because she didn't. She hugged me and whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." Those words felt different. They felt real. Meanwhile, rumors reached me through mutual acquaintances. Ethan's speculative investments had collapsed again. Their house was refinanced. Luxury vacations stopped. The designer accessories disappeared from social media. And then, one quiet Tuesday evening, my phone rang. Claire. I let it ring twice before answering. Her voice sounded smaller. Dad, can we meet? We met at a quiet cafe. No dramatic entrance. No expensive jewelry. Just my daughter. She looked tired. I didn't understand, she admitted. Understand what? That you weren't asking for money when you texted me that day. I said nothing. I thought you were preparing to depend on us financially. Ethan convinced me that older parents sometimes do that. And so you decided to set boundaries. She nodded. But I set them cruelly. Yes, I said gently. She swallowed. When the money stopped, we panicked. Not because we deserved it, but because we built our life assuming it would always be there. That was the first honest sentence she'd spoken in years. I wasn't trying to punish you, I said. I was trying to protect myself. She wiped her eyes. I don't want your money, Dad. That's good, I replied. Because it's not available. A small, broken laugh escaped her. I want my father. That sentence cracked something inside me. Because despite everything, she was still my child. I'm still here, I told her. But the old arrangement is gone. She nodded. I understand. The final lesson. The foundation continued growing. My restaurants thrived. And slowly, carefully, Claire began showing up again. Not for loans. Not for favors. Just for dinner. Sometimes we sat quietly. Sometimes we talked about recipes like we used to. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. It rebuilds through consistent action. Ethan never fully apologized. But he stopped asking for money. And that was enough. 1 year after that Thanksgiving message, I updated one small section of my will. Not restoring millions, but adding something new. If, over time, Claire demonstrated genuine presence and responsibility, a portion of the estate could be reconsidered. Not guaranteed. Earned. Because love without boundaries becomes exploitation. But boundaries without compassion become isolation. I chose balance. And for the first time in years, I felt at peace.